The Boston Celtics have won 8 in a row. Luke Kornet is locked in. Jaylen Brown? I don't know. We'll talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Being down, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Jrue KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. And I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts on the weekends when they play. We'll see. We'll see about these last couple of regular season games. These might not be bonus podcast worthy, but when they happen in the playoffs, I'll be here. Regardless, tons of podcasting. It's all free. It's all right here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I have been covering the Celtics for about 20 years. I'm doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal and the author of a couple of different books on the Celtics. You can go search my name on Amazon. They pop up. Go ahead and buy one. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase of tickets to whatever is out there. This is the slightly delayed post-game Boston Celtics beating the San Antonio Spurs 121-111. A tight game, but look, later on we'll get to the Jaylen Brown stuff. We'll get to Derrick White, who was this close to history and this close to getting Jayson Tatum some history. And but we'll get to all of that stuff later. But look, Boston Celtics, 8 in a row. This is the big thing. They've won 8 in a row. They put a little bit of pressure on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs did respond. I wanted to wait until after the Cavs played the Clippers. They beat the Clippers at home on Sunday. So it's for a smidge there. It felt like maybe the Celtics still have an opportunity to catch them. They still kind of do, but the win over the Clippers gives the Cavs a 4.5 game lead in the standings, and that's just a little too much. It's a 4-game lead in the loss column. So the Celtics have to keep on winning, and the Cavs have to keep on losing, and that's just too much to ask. But, man, things got really tight here in the East because the Cavs are starting to slow down. I wonder if the folks over in Cleveland are like, oh, what's happening to our team? We're grinding to a halt here. And look at the Celtics, 13-1 in March, on the verge of potentially going 14-1 and having one of like 5 or 6 of their, like one of their 5 or 6 best months ever, like in team history ever. So it's at least throwing some, doubt, something over there in Cleveland. It's tightening some sphincters, that's for sure. The Celtics got this game. One of my favorite parts about this win against San Antonio was how the Celtics was, I don't want to say a perfect fourth quarter, but in a way it kind of was, because I always say this, I said it a million times on this podcast. When you have a lead, the fourth quarter is just get buckets. Just get buckets, score points. It's all you have to do. It's impossible for the other team to come back if you just score points. And the Celtics did exactly that. When the Spurs behind Chris Paul, who was terrible and looked washed, and when all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, he went ballistic. He scored 10 points in the fourth quarter, like he was saving it for the end. The Spurs shot 62.5%. They were 10 of 16 in the fourth quarter. They just felt like they were hitting everything. And the best they could do was a 5-0 run, in quotes, because the Celtics kept hitting shots too. The Celtics answered every score by the Spurs, except for the 2 free throws by Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle hits 2 free throws, and then Keldon Johnson hits a three. So that's the only extended run, I call it extended, the only time in the fourth quarter where the Spurs scored and then scored again themselves before the Celtics scored. Every other time, the Celtics answered. The only other time the Celtics did not score after a Spurs score was Jeremy Sohan in the final seconds hits 2 free throws and the Celtics took a shot clock violation. That is how you answer in a fourth quarter when you have a lead. They went into the fourth with a 13-point lead. They won the game by 10. So that's double-digit win on the road. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Double-digit win on the road is always nice. It wasn't the most exciting game overall, but and the Celtics had long stretches where they looked less than engaged. I thought Jayson Tatum was great. Luke Kornet obviously was great. They had a long stretch where Tatum and Brown in the second quarter were both on the bench, and that unit played really, really well. Then Tatum and Brown checked in, and I think a lot of this has to do with Jaylen Brown and his knee, which I'll get to in a minute. But that unit got a little lazy or slow or whatever, and that's the unit that didn't look great, and it kind of stayed. The Celtics were never able to fully pull away in this game. So I would say half the game was great, half the game was but the fourth quarter was fantastic to see them prove this notion, this concept of it doesn't matter what the other team does. If you can just find a way to score points, go to the rim, get fouled, hit a shot, hit a jumper, mid-range jumper, fine. Layups, fine. Floater, fine. Whatever it is, fine. I don't care. Unless the other team is hitting absolutely nothing but threes and you're hitting absolutely nothing but twos, chances are you're going to win. And even with a 13-point lead, they have to hit 13 threes in a quarter, and you have to hit 13 twos in a quarter just for them to tie the game, and that is almost impossible to do. The Celtics hit 10 first quarter threes the other night, and that was, I think, a team record, and that felt like an avalanche. So even with a 13-point lead, even if the other team is just banging threes and you're trading 3 for 2, they have to work so hard to cut that lead that scoring the points is you're just going to find a way to get to a spot, make the shot, whatever it is. Jayson Tatum at the left elbow, no dribbles, no nothing, hits that shot, beautiful, love it. Jaylen Brown, bank shot, love it, right? Derrick White, floater, love it. Whatever you can get, that's how you hold on and get a win against a scrappy team. Look, the Spurs, they're struggling now, obviously, but they've got some decent players. Castle is good. Vassell is good. Chris Paul turned back the clock for a quarter. He's good. Sohan is at least aggressive, and he got to the rim and he drew a ton of fouls. So I thought the Celtics did a good job. Generally speaking, a pretty decent win. I didn't like a lot of the complaining to the refs. You can tell where the Celtics aren't less than engaged, as I like to say, when they're just constantly talking to the refs. The one where Joe Mazzulla called the timeout, Jaylen gets it's early in the fourth quarter. Jaylen hits that bank shot, turns around, complains to the ref, just complain. And here come the Spurs right down. Boom. Blow right past Jaylen, draw the foul. Joe calls a timeout. They're not going to go away. You got to put them away. Luke Kornet was everywhere. He was awesome, and he was the story of the game. We get to Luke, we get to Jayson, we get to Jrue. Second segment, all the good stuff. Third segment, the bad stuff, including Derrick White, which is very rare. And I say bad in a relative term. But all of that stuff is coming up when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. There is nothing like watching basketball live. Listen, I'm lucky I get to do it every day. The energy of the crowd, the sounds of the game being played, the sneakers squeaking, the yelling, all of that stuff. Occasionally you see a celebrity courtside. If you want to catch this game in person, if you want to see your favorites, If you're on the road and you're close to the action, Jayson Tatum might throw you a ball. He's doing that. He's playing catch with the crowd. Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you just the best deals on great seats. You do not have to waste time scrolling. Thousands of tickets. Who has time for that? Game Time Picks eliminates all of that. You check the Game Time app. There are amazing deals on some huge matchups around the league, or just you wanting to catch a Celtics game wherever you are. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. And with seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and the lowest price guarantee, you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. What did I turn Canadian there for a second? Create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. We got a newsletter that you should subscribe to. It's at LockedOnDaily.com. Click on the Locked On Celtics logo. Enter your email. I will send you an email every Monday through Friday with Celtics, NBA, fantasy coverage for however long fantasy is continuing here. But it's all there in the newsletter. Open it up, read it. If you miss a podcast, it's a great way to keep up with what I'm talking about in the podcast because the newsletter is kind of based on what I'm talking about here. So go check it out, LockedOnDaily.com. Click on the Locked On Celtics logo and enter your email there. Luke Kornet is the story of the game here. He is, playing his best basketball. 15 points, a career high 16 rebounds. Another guy on the Celtics who set a career high in something. Everyone else has set a career high in scoring. We got Sam did it, Derrick did it, Peyton did it, Baylor Shireman did it. There's 4. I don't know if anybody else set a career high this year, but here comes Luke Kornet to do it with rebounds with 16. 7 offensive rebounds, and his offensive rebounding is just off the charts, giving the Celtics more opportunities. They took 94 field goal attempts. The Celtics averaged 90 per game, so you can tell there were a few more. This is the formula here. Whenever the Celtics get up to 94, 95 to 100 or so, and this is like the 12th, 5th, somewhere. Maybe not. It hasn't happened that much. 15th time that they've had 94 or more shots. So obviously it hasn't happened a ton this season. There's only 8 games left. So when they've taken more more field goal attempts than normal, you look at 2 places. You look at turnovers. Did they turn the other team over? No. The Spurs committed 4 turnovers. And only 2 steals for the Celtics. So no turnovers, no points off turnovers. That then points you right in the direction of offensive rebounds, where the Celtics had 15, and obviously 7 of those belong to Luke Kornet, 3 to Kristaps Porzingis, and then a bunch of other guys had 1. That's where you pile up extra opportunities. And you don't have to cash in on all of those opportunities, but it gives you that chance, that volume to make your shots, to demoralize the other team, because you play defense for 24 seconds, you expect to get that ball back, and then if it's an offensive rebound and a kick back out, and it's another 14, 30 plus seconds of defense, it's tiring. It's a lot. It's hard. So Luke has been great. We've talked about Luke a lot. A true kind of star in his role kind of guy. He is executing the offense very, very well. He gets in position where he can catch a lob. And as I've said multiple times now, if you're in position to catch a lob, you're in position to get an offensive rebound, because it's the same thing. It's just, where's the ball coming off of the rim? Where are you jumping to catch the ball? And even if it bounces off the rim, it's probably going into the same general spot. So you're in position to get the ball. And Luke is definitely getting more physical. He's getting himself into position. You can see, if you watch his offensive rebounds, a lot of times he is just ducking in, whether he's on the baseline coming in from the dunker spot. He does a very good job of ducking in front of the guy. Instead of getting boxed out, he's doing the boxing out, and he's able to get himself at least in a position to try to tip it back up towards the basket. Something to give the Celtics another chance. So of the 7 offensive rebounds, a couple of them were just tips, just tip back up and it goes down as a miss. He missed 3 shots. 3 of them were like tips. That's all valuable. You're just giving yourself another chance. And every once in a while, those tips go in, and every once in a while they end up in drawing a foul, and it just becomes a bit of a game changer. But Luke also is in position to catch and make, he has 4 assists. Some of them are in the short roll. Some of them are off of the offensive rebounds, turn and kick out, or a tip out to the, back out to the perimeter. 3-point shooters are out there. 3-point shooters are out there. If you're Luke Kornet, you're on the floor with probably Jayson Tatum and Derrick White and Baylor Shireman at this point. And all of those guys are all around the 3-point line. You can tip it out and it will find one of your teammates very often. So it's all really good awareness. He does a great job. And, after the game, he gets to make his jokes about, how'd you become such a great offensive rebounder? And he says, I took geometry in high school, trig and angles and, all of that's, he's just so funny. He was asked about his aggressiveness, being more physical. And he gave a great answer about, I watched Jaylen, Jayson, Jrue go out there and be physical and how that pays off for them. So he's taking lessons from these other guys, these perimeter guys, and realizing hey, I got to be more physical myself. He's not a big, huge guy, but he's out there being physical and it's working. So great game from Luke Kornet. He's playing his best basketball ever. Jayson Tatum is playing his best basketball ever. 29 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. If a certain bald guard could have hit a couple of shots, he had plenty of looks, it would have been a triple-double. And so I basically consider this a triple-double because he made the same passes, he made the same plays. Those shots just didn't fall. And so that's essentially a triple-double for Jayson Tatum, even though it's 29, 10, and 8. But 10 of 22, not the most efficient, but he finds these ways to impact the game even when he's not efficient. 7 of 7 from the line, so he drew a bunch of fouls. I don't know what else to say about Jayson Tatum. He is playing great basketball. The recognition. He had some plays where it was they're using him as a screener, and one play for Baylor Shireman, which Luke made one of his 4 assists. A great cross-court pass, just incredible. A pass I don't normally see a big make from the top left, a foot or 2 inside the 3-point line to the opposite corner in the right for Shireman. But because Jayson Tatum he was looking for the ball, I think, but he drew 2 guys, and one of them was Shireman's guy. So Baylor was wide open. Luke hits him perfectly, and Baylor hits the shot. But Tatum as a cutter, as a screener, is a great way to use his gravity to get guys open, to create mismatches as people still follow him when he doesn't even have the ball. So that was a very good game, and I'm very interested in how much more the Celtics use Tatum in these off-ball screener, cutter types of situations, because I think that would be a great use of him and a great way to have Holiday and Derrick White running the offense and Tatum still being effective without him just always having the ball. And you could do the same with Jaylen Brown too. Speaking of Jrue Holiday, he was hitting everything. He was the guy that was hitting the shots. And on a night where Jaylen didn't do a ton and Porzingis was off and Derrick White was off, you get you get Luke Kornet's big night, you get Jayson Tatum doing what he did, and you get Jrue Holiday hitting 8 of 12 shots, 5 of 7 from 3, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Holiday's playing the best ball of the season at the right time. Not surprising that Holiday at this point of the year is finding his way back into playing better, hitting shots. I think he's finding his groove at the right time. We just talked about the Celtics peaking at the right time. Holiday is one of the reasons why that's happening. And look, they didn't have Peyton Pritchard, they didn't have Al Horford in this game, so Holiday having this night was really good. Let's get to Derrick White and Jaylen Brown. I think the Jaylen Brown conversation, this is going to be something that we try to figure out here. That's all coming up next. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Really appreciate you subscribing. We're available everywhere. The show's free. It's daily, Monday through Friday. I got bonus podcasts on the weekends. So the Derrick White game, Derrick wasn't bad in this game. He 13 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He did do other things. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, but he shot poorly. 3 of 12 from 3, 4 of 13 overall. And he was 1 of 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter when the Celtics, if he had hit a few of these shots, the Celtics could have pulled away. So it happens, but he was 1 3-pointer away, 1 from tying Isaiah Thomas's team record. And it sucks because that was the anniversary of Isaiah setting the record. He set it on March 29th. Derrick was back in San Antonio. It was going to be a perfect storyline, but he just couldn't. I don't know if he was thinking about it, if he knew that he needed one more, but he just couldn't hit anything in that fourth quarter. It was very frustrating, probably very frustrating for him. If he had just hit 2 more, then obviously this would have been a little bit of a different story. Still a double-digit win, so it's not a big deal, but would have been maybe a little bit more comfortable. But D. White, 40 minutes, just couldn't hit these shots. Jaylen Brown, listed as questionable with the right knee impingement, whatever, against the Memphis Grizzlies. So I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. 14 points, 6 of 9, 1 of 4 from 3, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, couple of turnovers. Just a pedestrian game for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen's normally a 25-point a game guy. This should have been an opportunity for him to play a lot better. 9 shots to take fewer shots. Tatum, Porzingis, Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, Luke Kornet all had more shots than Jaylen Brown. He's just, the knee is bothering him. And as I've said, this is going to be like an up and down thing. I know he's chasing that 65 games, but now he's in a catch-22 situation. He needs the 65 games to qualify for the postseason awards, and he does have a chance. He does have a chance at an All-NBA, but by playing, he's not playing well enough to get the All-NBA, so he should sit. But if he sits, he's not going to get the 65 games that he needs to potentially make the All-NBA, but by playing, he's hurting his case. So the catch-22 is really hurting him here. He is very clearly limited. The other day, he was fine. He looked good. And I was like, okay, looks fine. This game, he definitely looked limited. He went to the ground a couple of times. He was slow to get up. The knee was very clearly bothering him. He said after that last game, was it Portland, that was it the Portland game? Where he said, this is difficult. He's trying to find a good routine to manage this. He's never had this knee issue before, and it's hard to figure out. Look, I do not begrudge any player trying to get to that 65 wins, 65 games played, because your legacy, this is you're building something, and there are enough guys who haven't qualified where Jaylen is in the mix for an All-NBA. The Celtics are good enough where you can justify, say, hey, the tiebreaker is winning. Jaylen Brown is on a winning team, and he's been, generally speaking, pretty good this year. It's not his best season, but I think you can argue that there are elements of his game. His passing has been great, but overall, would you qualify it as a down year? He's averaging 22.4 points per game. That's only a half a point less than last season. His shooting numbers are down for sure. He's shooting 32% from three. It's not great. His efficiency is down, but his rebounds up from last year. His assists up from last year. They're at a career high. His steals are right there. His, the overall numbers support that he's, at least equal to what he did last season, somewhat. But the way he's playing now, it's too up and down, and these games so don't matter. He needs to be right for the playoffs. He just needs to be right for the playoffs. The 65 game thing, I get it. And I'm not going to get on him for it because I understand this is the rule, and you can say it's a dumb rule, but this is the rule. And I get it. But your legacy will be better supported by winning another championship than losing a championship and making All NBA. If you're looking for a tiebreaker, get your knee right as it can be, and make this run for the championship. If you win 2 in a row, it will do more for you, Jaylen, than making an All NBA team would. 1 championship and 2 All NBA third teams versus 2 championships and 1 All NBA. And I'm sure he's going to have an opportunity to get another All NBA. Like, this isn't his last chance to make an All NBA team. But the 2 championships, and who knows, maybe another Finals MVP, maybe another, decorated postseason, for Jaylen. That's entirely possible. He's that good. It will do more for your legacy to win the championship than to make the All NBA. So, as much as I fully understand chasing 65, you got to do what's best for the team at this point, but it is also what's best for you. Those two things align in this matter. You become a Celtics god winning 2 championships here. Maybe you can get a third even, but multiple championships gets you a lot in Boston and a lot in the NBA. I brought it up around like other writers and stuff about Jaylen trying to build a Hall of Fame case. And there are people who are like, he's already in. Well, I don't understand why if he's concerned about that, he shouldn't be, because by the time he's done playing, he will be in. And look, he has, what does he have for total points at this point? 11,360. He can, he's scoring this season. He's at 1,322. Last season, 1,600 plus points. The season before, almost 1,800 points. The season before, 1,559. He can get himself to 20,000 points or close to 20,000 points. And that alone will get you into the Hall of Fame. Plus 2 championships. Doesn't matter what All NBA. You got the All-Stars to support you. You'll have those piled up. I think his case is solid. So if Jaylen's listening, if Jaylen's people are listening, my unsolicited advice is, if the knee is an issue and resting it is going to help, stop chasing the 65. You don't need it. You just don't need it. You don't qualify. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Rest it. Get this championship. Go get this championship. Be as healthy as you can for that. Go get it, and that will be better. Next Celtics game, Memphis. Again, Jaylen's questionable for that. I don't know if he's going to play or not. We'll see. But that is coming up on Monday. I will have a post-game podcast for that. So make sure you're subscribed. The show gets dropped directly to your device. It's free, so it's daily. It's Monday through Friday. And make sure you're subscribed. Get onto the YouTube page. Watch the show there. Get into the comment section. Share your thoughts there. Join a bunch of Celtics fans who are sharing their thoughts in the Celtics in the Locked On Celtics comment section on YouTube. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.